Well, since we've had a request for another kind of updated video on our Tartan 34C project, I decided this morning before it got too hot to get one done. So we've added several hatches. The rig is all done. We've got the self-tending staysail. This is a yawl. Not that many Tartan 34s were yawls from the factory. We have our hard dodger. I have all the fabric for the canvas, just have not sewn it yet, so we'll get to that. Walking further aft, you can see we have davits. So we have a little 8-foot hard bottom inflatable. I already had a 10-footer, but I thought it would look too big for proportions on the boat because the Tartan kind of has a skinny ass, so I thought it would look better with a smaller dinghy back there. And hopefully you can see in this video I've got some running backstays now because of the staysail. And well, from here I'll start taking apart or showing you different areas that I've done, and I'll give you a total update. So inside we have our refrigerator. I showed you on previous videos how we actually cut and extended the cabin, so that gave us a whole brand new room for a brand new porthole, and gave us an extra 2 feet of counter space, which on a small boat is huge. So we have our gimbal stove. I've also, to create more space behind the stove, we have this that opens up. Huge storage space for pots and pans. And I didn't clean the boat for this video, so this is actually in how it is when I'm working on it. So, get this out of the way. We have added a really nice big deep sink right here, and tons of storage behind all of these. It goes way back, and then water maker is behind that one. But let's get back to our refrigerator. So this is our refrigerator. Originally the Tartan had a ice box that was accessed through here. That used to be the cover to the ice box, and it was very poorly insulated, 3 inches top and bottom, but the sides only had 1.5 inches, and it went through a lot of ice. And so now I rebuilt it to where I have, you see, this is the lid. I got 3 inches of insulation on the lid, but the rest of the refrigerator, if you kind of look down inside, has 6 inches of insulation. My evaporator, that is where the refrigerant liquid under high pressure comes and expands, and as it expands it creates cold. So this will be our little freezer compartments. Pretty much put Ziplocs in there, just roll them up with fish. The rest will just be a refrigerator. Extremely well insulated. Like I said, I've got 6 inches all the way around. You can kind of see how much insulation there is. A drain in the bottom, and the bottom actually from there has probably about 8 or 10 inches of insulation, because that was all pour foam before fiberglassing the bottom in. So all I have to do at this point is just run some copper lines to here, put my TX valve, my thermostatic expansion valve, that controls the flow of refrigerant through my evaporator. So that's it for the refrigerator. The intercompartment, which was moved back, you can see where it originally was, which was that line right there at the end of the original cork floor. So I've moved the engine box back, and this week I just finished fiberglassing this little cover that covers the top of the transmission. And you can see I have really good access to my stuffing box right there to the bilge. And I was asked, originally the Tartan right here had this pedestal that stood up, and the exhaust went through there. There was a vent because the Atomic 4 needed to have fresh air in the blower. So this whole area here, before we extended the cabin, it was challenging to get to the quarter berth. It was very tight. There was no nav station. There was kind of a high desk about right here. It was pretty narrow. So by removing all of that and extending the cabin back, it's opened up this whole area. And now I have a true nav station. So we have the single sideband, which in this case is a ham radio, or VHF, or cell mail, modem, the new control panel I made, or solar controller. This is a main shut-off switch which shuts off positive and negative if there's ever any lightning, so I can isolate all of the electronics and totally disconnect everything. And this here, which is an antenna switch and disconnect, will go here, so I can also isolate that part of the radio. And so you were asking about what we did with the exhaust. The original exhaust riser was in this tall pedestal that was right here. So let's get this out of the way. So you see the transmission there where I had to make a little hump to go over it. And on the original cover, it was a little teak square cover that went there that really was just inconvenient. It was way too tall and you tripped over it. So we've shrunk down our cover. So as you can see right here on the back of the manifold, I have a little riser, and then it goes through here and into a Vetus water lift muffler right there. And from there it goes up and up, and the stainless steel there, that's my exhaust loop. The one next to it is actually my cooling seawater raw water loop with a vacuum breaker, which in this case is just a vent. And also next to it, that little corrugated hose, that's inch and a quarter hose, it is for an emergency bilge pump, and that actually ties in on this side on what used to be the original exhaust. So that is one of my 3 emergency bilge pumps, and it's got a big high riser that goes there. And what we've done right here is a secondary fuel tank. It's going to be just shy of 30 gallons next to the original diesel tank, which is, well, it's right here anyway. That's the original diesel tank. I'm putting a new fuel gauge on it. The original one, or style, is not available anymore. So this will be a secondary fuel tank, diesel tank, and that will bring us up to about 55 gallon capacity. So that would be nice. Now, of course, I just put this in our way. And down in we do have a deep bilge right there because we have a center board and we have the primary bilge pump down there. But right here, this is my shower sump pump. So, Tartan originally did not have a shower sump pump. The shower dumped straight into the bilge, and if you use your boat just very rarely, that's okay. Oh, I think my batteries are dead, so let me switch batteries. So that is the shower sump pump. A pain in the ass to run because the boat wasn't designed for that. The shower originally did not have this lip around the mast step. So you took a shower, the water would just go right down into the bilge, and that was it. So I've sealed that off. I've actually made a shower drain. You really can't see it, but it is going downhill here, so everything actually is graded to the drain. So now, when we take a shower, basically all that slime will be pumped overboard. We have a on-demand water heater right here. So if you're familiar with the Tartan 34, the cockpit actually extended all the way back. So the whole, or the tiny bit of aft deck, there's only about a foot of it, was at the same elevation as the cockpit seats right here. So we've raised all of that to make a significant aft deck, at least for a boat this size. Benefit is that now I just finished fiberglassing this, and I still need to put the face on it here. But this now gives me an opening to where I can actually get down into the aft locker if need be. It's tight getting in, but once you're in, there's plenty of room. And before, you couldn't do that. Also, so these are our propane tanks. I've made double propane lockers in the cockpit. So that is where we'll store our propane. They are vented overboard. So instead of having stuff on deck, that is our solution. The Dodger turned out actually nice. I'm standing under the Dodger right now, so I really don't have to bend down. So we'll work on the canvas and get all of that done. Filled in all the existing holes. This will be my motor panel here, and our navigation will go on this side. We have these boxes right here for all of our wiring and all of that. On a quick note regarding the single sideband, I prefer a ham radio because if you don't know the difference, basically it's not really the FCC, but it is the international a group got together, I guess. The various governments got together and allocated frequencies for marine single sideband and for ham radios. So in those frequencies, you have 2 megs, 4 megahertz, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. And in those frequencies, there's a block that's allocated for marine single sideband, and then there's a block allocated for ham radios. So the capabilities are the same, except that a ham you need a license, single sideband you don't need a license as far as a test and all of that. Just send in your money and you get your license. But a marine single sideband is not user friendly, when a ham radio is very user friendly. Marine single sideband, everything is pre-programmed. So unless you know what frequency you want, if you're looking, let's say, for a radio station, like an AM radio station, it's impossible to find. When on a ham radio, you just turn the knob like a regular radio, and you can read the display as it goes up and down. So if you want to listen to BBC or Voice of America or Radio Canada or NPR, I always used to tune into Prairie Home Companion, you can do that with this because all your frequencies are open. Now, what I've done is on this specific radio, on the ICOM IC718, you can do a very simple internal modification that you can do yourself, and it actually opens up all the frequencies for transmit and receive. So now you also have access to all the marine single sideband frequencies. So even though I normally just only use it for transmitting on marine single sideband frequencies. It allows me to tune in also to all of the ham radio nets. There's a hurricane net, there's Chubasco net, there's everywhere throughout the world. There's some chat rooms every day, and they have lots of good information. They have weather, and also with this you can contact the Coast Guard because they monitor the single sideband frequencies. They have dedicated Coast Guard frequencies for emergency, so you can contact them through that. So it's a good radio to have on board. And this one is they're right at $600, so it's not like it's a huge expense. And I've been using those for years, and I've always been really happy. And of course, it allows me to send and receive emails with the modem wherever I am, any time of day, for free. Well, $200 a year. So that's about it on the boat, and we will keep you posted. It's been challenging. This summer has been the hottest on record here. The last record was 33 days over 110. We're approaching 60 this year. It was 113 yesterday, so we're about 40 miles outside of Phoenix. So there's days where I'm tired of the heat. It makes it challenging working on the boat, welding anything. I mean, everything you touch, just burn your hands. So I've slowed down a little bit. And then the pandemic, of course, you know, has slowed things down even more. But she's getting there. I would think definitely by January she'll be done. We're getting ready for another motorhome trip down Baja in about a month. So that will be a really nice getaway for us. So that's it from inside the boat, and I will have one last update on batteries coming up shortly. So I've been trying to complete some systems, and in this case it's the cooling unit, the refrigeration for our ice box or refrigerator. So I bought all the separate parts and assembled it myself. So basically this is your high pressure line. These two up here are your suction lines. At this point, this is a high pressure liquid coming out of your condenser, and it flows this way coming out. So I have a side glass, and then this will be connected to the refrigerator. I have it under test right now, so I'm pressure testing the whole system because I didn't want to install it and then find out that I have leaks on my braze joints. Filter dryer, another test port, but this is on the low pressure side, and this test port here is the high pressure side. And then a controller for the unit attaches to here. These what used to be Danfoss BD50, BD35 and BD50 compressors now are no longer made in, I believe it was Germany. They were bought out by a Chinese company named Seacomp. So hopefully the quality is still as good as they were when they were German made. Certainly the price has dropped by at least 50%. So you can buy the compressor now for, you know, 150 bucks, and the controller is also a lot cheaper.
So here we are back at the boat. What's the temperature supposed to be today?
113.
113. Eric works on the boat every day, 7 days a week. He's wonderful. Right now, working on the refrigerator motor thing. Compressor.
Am I on?
Yeah, now you're on. Say it again.
So I am sealing all the ends of the compressor and a condenser so I can test the system before I mount it in the boat. So I'll test it to probably about 120 pounds, make sure I got no leaks, and then it's going in so I can hook up my last lines to the refrigerator itself. So this is kind of the boat storage room. Solar panels. This used to be the box for the outboard motor we got, and brand new sails. Anyway, and the latest, which is this. I ended up buying two lithium batteries for the boat. It's kind of a big expense. I mean, compared to regular lead acids, normally I've always used T105s, which are the 6-volt golf cart batteries. They have a cycle life of about, at 50% discharge, I think it's about 1500 cycles. Obviously, lead acid batteries, which is basically your standard batteries, deep cycles are more tolerant of discharge. I've always planned it to where to never go below 25% discharge. So if you've got 4 T105s, that gives you 440 amps. So you can discharge 110 amps, about 25%, which is a fair amount of load. So bang for the buck, you can't beat the good quality golf cart batteries, because they will last you really at least 5 years, 5 to 10 years to take care of them. And don't discharge them more than 25-30%. You're probably up into 2,000 to 2,500 cycles before they go bad on you. But being on a smaller boat, I wanted to try something different this time. So I went with two 100 amp, or actually they're 138 amp lithium ion batteries. So just two batteries like that, so it's less than half the space and probably about a quarter of the weight of the lead acid batteries. These are rated at 4,000 cycles, but that's at 100% discharge. So if I draw 100 amp out of them every day, that's less than 50% discharge. They should be good for 10 to 15 years plus zero maintenance, not taking up any space. So anyway, so that's the route I'm going on this boat. Hopefully I won't regret it. Teslas seem to be working fine. They're not sitting on the side of the road everywhere dead. So we will see. But it's nice knowing that space now, it really is not an issue. I put one up front for the windlass. One will just be under the kitchen counter. And obviously they'll be interconnected. And that will supply all the power for the boat. My load should probably be extreme. Of course, during the day, everything is being charged. So, probably about 40 amps is all, at the most. Let's say 12 hours of nighttime at about an amp and a half for the refrigerator. So that's 20 amps that we're using for the refrigerator at night when nothing is charging, and the masthead light, so probably another 5 amps. So we should be good, and if not, lead acid batteries are readily available. The only drawback is the price. This ends up being, if you count, about $100 each for the T105s. This is, I got both for just under $1,000. So it's a significant investment, and hopefully I won't regret that decision. And of course I still have one 12-volt engine starting battery, but that's purely dedicated for that. So that will never see any cycles. That will say charge full time. And we have our first mate here. So signing off right now on that tube on the outside right here is our foil pieces for our roller furling. So I'm signing off, and we'll keep on giving updates.